Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Diecast Garage, or welcome to Diecast Garage. If this is your first time, if you would not mind to go ahead and smash that like button and also smash that subscribe button so that way you don't miss the latest content coming out on here. Because we've had, in the past month, close to almost 2 months now, we've had a whole bunch of YouTube shorts coming out, and they've been doing extremely well, and I'm extremely satisfied, and I don't think even satisfied is the right word, happy with the way that these YouTube shorts have been going. And thank you all so much for the incredible, actually, comments that I've gotten on those shorts. And I'm extremely satisfied the way that those have been going. That put aside, today I'm going to be doing something that is long overdue well, I've had a YouTube short about it, showing it off a little bit here and there, but we have never done a dedicated video showing off my obsession for a German vehicle that was very popular between the 1950s and especially from the 1950s to the 1990s. And I am talking about Volkswagen. Volkswagen, which in German, if you don't know, Volkswagen means people's car. Volks was kind of where we derive folks. Like if you're from down south, like me, folks is like your kinfolk. Folk came from Volk with a V, and we just took that V, then we put an F in there, made folk. Volk, folk. It rhymes. It sounds the same. And and whenever I was younger, because my dad, getting ahead of the story a little bit, he had I think it was a 1970 72 or 73, I think, Volkswagen Super Beetle. And the Super Beetle is the one with it didn't have it had the same engine in it. This one didn't. It was kind of souped up. But the difference between a Super Beetle and a standard Beetle is the windshield is curved, like on a lot of modern day cars that we have today. The hood was a little bit deeper in the front, and the taillights in the back were round instead of that oval shape that we see on the standard Beetles. Um, where was I going with that? Oh, whenever I was younger, like I was knee high to a grasshopper. I used to ride around in my dad's Volkswagen Beetle, and we'd ride around the yard, and I'd sit in his lap, and I'd be honking on the horn, and our neighbors probably hate me for that now. um, and I used to say Volkswagen, folks, like my folks are coming over, not Volks with a V, like what I talked about earlier. So that's a little backstory there for you. But anyways, I'm going to be going over my collection, which is not just this shelf right here, but I've also got some down here with a mix of all kinds of other cars. Some up there, some over there, one up there, or two up there. So we got quite a few cars to cover. But first of all, we'll start off with the main center of the collection, which is right here, where I have pretty much almost every single known Volkswagen Beetle or car made by Hot Wheels and any other brands, including an exclusive item that I was actually got on a trip, and we'll get into that here in just a second. But this collection up here, starting in the very back, starts with the Volkswagen trucks, and here I have one right here. Back in the very back, these are the kind of cars that are going to be back there. Are the flatbed Volkswagen trucks, which are not that common in today's world of Volkswagen collectors. Mostly everybody is looking for the the split window buses, and the prices of Volkswagen buses and Beetles. If you've been keeping up with the eBay listings and stuff like I have, the prices for old Volkswagens in general, has gone through the roof. And I'm glad I got my Beetle, which we'll get to that in just a little bit. I'm glad I got my Beetle whenever I did, and the way I got it, which we'll talk about in just a second. Um, then after we got the flatbed pickup trucks, we have the Volkswagen panel vans, which, if you don't know what a panel van is, let's see, I have one right over here, right under. Well, so apparently I had removed a pricing sticker off of that, and it stuck to this. But anyways, this is a Volkswagen panel van. That is a Matchbox SpongeBob panel van, and basically all it is just it has no windows in the back except for the rear window right there. So there you go. There's not too much to say about panel vans, other than they're different, and they're not as sought after. Kind of like, that's the more utilities style of the what I call the bus section of Volkswagen. And then I also have a couple more panel vans over here. And then I start getting into the buses that we are more familiar with, like this Volkswagen right here. This bus right here with, I think, is the 18 window, which you all know that the 18 window is one of the most sought after buses. And if you look at the very front of that bus, the way where it has that little curve and where the headlights are, and the way this nose is designed with the paint job, that is immediately, that is a selling point for a lot of Volkswagen collectors, and especially if it's split window in the front. Because there was also another era right here. I'll have to keep moving this thing, but there was also an era right here where we have the what we call the bay window bus. The bay window bus came after the split window bus. That whenever you think of, well, here I got one right here. When you think of a Volkswagen bus, you think of more than likely one like this. It's got a split window. This right here, like I said, came after it, and they're pretty sought after, but they're not as sought after as the 18 windows and also the split window buses. If you see a split window bus, be ready to bring out you know be ready to pull out your big billfold, if it's even big, and get ready to possibly take out a loan if you're in the market for one of those buses. Because my mom, that is her dream vehicle, and no doubt if we got her one, she would drive the wheels off that thing until she was sitting on the road and that thing would say, "I'm done, I'm finished, scrap me, I'm done, finished." Um, but they're just way out of our reach. They're just way out of almost everybody's reach, unless you are a millionaire or something like that, or have at least got a decent job. You cannot, you can barely afford to buy one of those, because I think for kind of a junkyard, tore apart, it's just rust bucket piece of junk, you're looking at close to maybe 5,000 to even 8,000, which doesn't really sound like a lot, but whenever you're looking at a junk car that's going to need a lot more than what you actually gave for it, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. So we're still looking around, and we're still trying to see if we want to get one, and if we do, we're going to get a bay window bus, because we don't want to get one with a split window, because those things are too much cha-ching, cha-ching. Okay, that pretty much covers the bus side of. Nope, I still have one right over here. I have a Volkswagen bus camper right there, the Volkswagen camper, which those are pretty popular, but like I said, nothing is as popular as the 18 window or the split window buses. And then also I have a couple of the new. I have obviously a couple of cool combis, and then I have the Volkswagen the new ID Buzz, and I've just started to see these things cruise around town over where I'm from, and you know, it's one of those things where it was kind of like how they tried to bring the Beetle back with the newer looking Beetles, which we'll get to those in just a minute. Um, you you can't recreate a new car. You can't recreate an old car into a new car. It won't work because the safety requirements and stuff. Because the safety back then really wasn't as strict as it was, or it's more strict now than it was back then. So buses and Volkswagens in general are very dangerous cars. You definitely want to have an fire extinguisher in your Volkswagen or even any old car of that matter, because those things are, if you don't drive them carefully, they are death traps on wheels. And I'm not even kidding about that. Okay, moving on from that lovely segment of the video, I have a couple of these Volkswagen bus sort of things that Hot Wheels has made. Don't really know what. I know it's from the newer buses, like the ones from the 90s, whenever they started to get a little bit more of a square look. Which I'm not a big fan of it, but hey, if I see something with the Volkswagen logo in the stores or something, I'm going to pick it up because I am the biggest non-hippie Volkswagen fan probably in the state where I'm from. Because I don't see a lot of Volkswagens cruising around, and the ones that I do see are rust buckets. Um, and they're barely. It's amazing to even see those things being able to be driven. They're just they're interesting. They're in the opposite of mint condition. Just just leave it at that. Okay. Now we're moving over to the Volkswagen Golfs. We have the actually I've got them in opposite order, or do I? Let's see here. 1989. So I think I have them in opposite order. They're going from the newer ones that I have to the older ones, and then going back up to the new ones. Um, so I just have a couple of Volkswagen Golfs, and then I get up into what I personally think if I couldn't have a bus or a bug, I would go with a Carmen Ghia, because the Carmen Ghias, I have to say, are the most unique looking Volkswagens, made. And they were actually the one that probably went before both the bus and the bug, which is sad because it's such a cool looking car because of the big bucket headlights it had on the front of it, that nose. And here, I'll just grab one to show you, especially the convertible ones. They're incredible. Just look at that. Wouldn't you just want to drive around in that? And if you were driving around in one of those things, you weren't smiling, you need to go see a therapist. Because those things are just so cool. Okay, I have one of these it's similar um to a Volkswagen Carmen Ghia, um, but they're not really as sought after as I would figure. For as cool as this car is, it is the Volkswagen Type 3 Fastback. Right there. And the reason they call it the Fastback is because it looks like, it looks like it's got a fastback on it. And I really think that the tail on this thing, and the tail, if you've seen some of my YouTube shorts, it looks very similar to the tail on a 1966 Charger. And I've got one that's almost the exact same colors. That's a Charger. It's just basically the Volkswagen version of that car, because the tail on those things are pretty similar. Pretty similar. Okay. Now I have only one Volkswagen thing, which surprises me because, you know, out of all the Volkswagens that they could have made, the second most model that is the one that is not in most productions. I don't know how to phrase that to where it makes sense. But the one that's not produced as much, there we go. That is number two is the Carmagia. And the number one, in my opinion, is the Thing. Literally, the Thing. And the Thing is pretty well known in the Volkswagen community. They're pretty hard to find out in the world, especially in Hot Wheels, because out of all of my almost 6 years of collecting, I have only found one thing, Volkswagen Thing, right there. That's this car. And the only reason I got it because it was in a set with other Volkswagens that they did a couple of years ago. You all might remember it. Where they came out with, I think, the a Bug, Carmen Gia, then they had that thing, um, and then maybe a bus or something, and just kind of like one of the similar to the Silver Series cars, like what that is right there, just not as detailed. They released that, and that was the only thing that I saw, which it blew my mind because of how popular and how sought after those cars are in the real car world and also in the world of diecast cars, because that's a very hard thing to find. No pun intended. Okay, I have a couple of more modern day looking cars. I have a Volkswagen EV, which is just kind of looks like your standard Volkswagen car that you would see driving around today. Which that I like to have these up here so that way you can compare the old Volkswagens to the new Volkswagens, and you can see how much the company has evolved through the through the years. Okay, now I have only I don't know. I felt like I had more of these trucks, but I guess I didn't. Um, uh, yeah, I only have one of these trucks on display. I'm sure I have more laying around somewhere, but this is the only one I have up on display. Um, it is this Volkswagen Caddy, and it's basically a Nissan. It's one of them Datsuns. It's like a Datsun truck, but Volkswagen. If you didn't look at the logos and the big Volkswagen writing on the front and the back, you would have thought that this is a Datsun truck, which I don't blame you. It looks very similar to a Datsun. And whenever I first picked it up, I was like, I wonder if they got the labeling wrong. And I looked on the back tailgate and on the front, I was like, nope, that's a Volkswagen. And again, that came from that series that had the Volkswagen Thing. It was that same series that was released. Wow, almost coming up on 3 years. Um, After that, I've got I don't know what these things are called. I should know. Golly, these things are dusty. Volkswagen SP2. Not a sought after car whatsoever. Whatsoever. And we have a Volkswagen custom Volkswagen Squareback. We'll be right back and here in just 1 second. All right, guys, we are back and we were talking about the Squarebacks. The Squarebacks. I'm back. The Volkswagen Squarebacks, they were not as popular as, say, the Volkswagen Bus, Thing, and Beetle, but they're also not unknown. You will see a couple of those floating around, but not a ton of them. Not a ton of them. And then we get into my insane Volkswagen Beetle collection. And the reason that I have a big of Volkswagen Beetles, and not just all Volkswagens in general is because I actually own a 1972 Volkswagen Standard Bug, and it kind of looks like that one right there. Yeah, I have a ton of these. I have a ton of these rollbacks. And if you've seen my video on how to take the rollbacks out, that was one of the cars that I did it to. Not on camera, but I did it to it as well. Um, so right here you'll see a couple of a Baja Bug, and then you'll see these souped up looking tuned Beetles. Then the Zamac version of that one. Then we'll get to a Beetle that is squatted in the front with a big engine in the back. I wonder if that's stock. Then we have a couple more of those. Then we have a Moon Eyes one, which I really like. This Moon Eyes variation of it. Super cool, super cool. And then we get into the pickup trucks. I'll show off my Moon Eyes one. And this was kind of like the Volkswagen flatbed truck that we saw. And I think the only difference between this um, and the standard Beetle was obviously the shape of the vehicle was a little bit different. But I think the transmission might have been bigger in it because it was made to haul just a little bit bigger loads. But I think the engine was still in the back, which is crazy to think. All right, then I have a couple of Baja Bugs, and this is one of my favorite ones. It's one that's actually older that I got that has Spectraflame paint on it. Right there, I really like this one. That's one of my favorite um, Volkswagen Baja Bugs. And then this bug right here, I bet stands out quite a bit because it's not standard 1/64 scale. There's actually no standard scale for this particular model. This Volkswagen Bug I got on a trip to Wisconsin. Shout out to the people in Wisconsin. Love your all's cheese curds. um, but what this is, it might just look like a cool Volkswagen model that's copper colored, but look on the bottom, that sucker is a pencil sharpener. And I got this in some sort of antique store or a novelty store there in the Wisconsin Dells. And I've since used it once or twice, but ever since I've really developed this Volkswagen collection, I keep it up there just kind of as a neat item that's a little bit different. Got a few more Matchbox Baja Bugs, and we got a Hot Wheels Baja Bug, and then we've got a couple of the newer bugs, which, in my personal opinion, do not look nearly as good as the old bugs, which I'm sure everybody can agree on. But I'd rather drive one of them things than a Cybertruck. I'm sorry to everybody who owns a Cybertruck, but what are you thinking? Um, Here we have the Volkswagens that are from the company Slugbug, and if you go to Ollie's, you'll find this, or at least the one that I have here. They have a ton of these, and I just think it's such a cool company. Right here we go, Punch Buggy. That's what they're called. If you can possibly zoom in up here in the YouTube video, you'll see right here it says Punch Buggy. And then I think on the other side it says Slug Bug. I'm not going to take the time to take it off, but that's that company, and I don't know what the actual name of it is, the actual company, because I'm sure that's not the name of the company, because that'd be too much copyright for, yeah. All right, moving on. I've gotten back past those bugs, and I've gotten one of these drag racing bugs, then a black convertible. Which this is pretty close to what a Super Beetle would look like because the window is curved just a little bit. Then I got another Baja Bug, two of those yellow bugs, Johnny Lightning, Matchbox, a whole line of Matchbox, and then the Transformers Bug, which kind of looks very similar to mine. It's the same shade of yellow. Um, then we have Herbie, because you can't have a Volkswagen collection without Herbie, the love bug. Great movie if you haven't seen it. Then we also have a blind pack Volkswagen Beetle Chase. Believe it or not, this is a Chase. And it is a number 1 of the blind packs. And if you do not know, if you get a blind pack and you look on it, there's a way that you can look on there. And it says number 1 on there. That is more than likely the Chase. Well, it is the Chase. But also, you can feel around, and if you know the feel of that car, then that's another way you can tell. But yeah, that's the main shelf. And down here, I've got a couple of rollbacks. Right here, I've got one of the pickup trucks, standard buses, a ton of Beetles. I got a bigger Beetle right here that looks like mine. Another bigger Beetle that looks like my dad's, which he has since unfortunately sold. Then I've got a Golf one right here that's got everybody's favorite number on it. I'm sorry. I apologize. M2s. I got a ton of M2 Volkswagens. I got some right there, and right there. Then I have this cool watch that our neighbors gave me. Check that out. It's an old watch. The watch has since been lost, but it's a cool item that's a unique piece that not a lot of people have. And then I also have a Volkswagen set down here. Oh, you all can't see it. Whee. It looks, the packaging even looks like a bus, which that's pretty unique. And then I also think I also have the 55th anniversary bus. Let's see if I can find it. Yes, I have that, which is a tuned lowered version of it, but it's, hey, a Volkswagen's a Volkswagen. I mean, come on. So that is pretty much every single piece that I own. Let me know down in the comments below if I should take one of these Volkswagen Beetles and make it a General Lee. By the way, if you haven't gone to my other channel, Hazard TV, please go ahead, and if you want to support me even more, go to that channel, subscribe, check it out. I've got just strictly Dukes of Hazzard content on there, because as you can see by my shirt, I am a Dukes of Hazzard fan, big time. But with that being said, thank you all so much for watching this video. If you wouldn't mind, please make sure to smash that subscribe button, click that like button, so that way you don't miss any of the latest YouTube shorts and videos like this. I show off my incredibly bad addiction. All right, thank you all so much again, and I'll see you guys next time. Diecast Garage out.